Staying safe on a Caribbean vacation has a lot more to do with what you do than the island you visit, but that doesn't mean all islands are equal. In this video, I'll show you 7 Caribbean islands that are among the safest for travelers and also some of the most affordable. This list is based on the US State Department travel advisories and how tourists actually experience these destinations. I'm Roger from priceoftravel.com. Let's get started. Let's start with Barbados, which is one of the easiest Caribbean islands to recommend if safety is a top concern. Barbados has a level 1 US State Department rating, a long-established tourism industry, and excellent infrastructure, so it feels very polished and easy to navigate. A lot of people associate Barbados with luxury, especially along the famous Platinum Coast on the west side of the island, where celebrities and wealthy homeowners have beachfront mansions. That reputation makes many travelers assume the whole island is out of reach, but that's not really true. Barbados also has plenty of smaller, well-run hotels at much more reasonable prices, particularly if you're willing to stay a short walk from the beach instead of directly on it. One good example is the OceanBlue Hotel, where rooms start at around $175 per night in high season, with a strong 8.8 review average. It's right on the coast, close to a sandy beach, and in part of the island that feels safe, relaxed, and very tourist-friendly. Barbados is a great example of how a Caribbean island can feel upscale and secure without actually being expensive if you know where to look. Next up is Curaçao, and this is where I want to clarify something important about this list. This video is about traveler safety, not crime statistics in neighborhoods that tourists never visit, and Curaçao is a great example of that distinction. Curaçao has a level 1 State Department rating, a very stable political environment, and a long history of tourism. It's also one of the safest Caribbean islands weather-wise, since it sits outside the main hurricane belt, which makes it appealing for late summer and fall travel as well. Like most safe destinations, the biggest concern here isn't violent crime, it's petty theft. Things like leaving valuables in parked cars or unattended on the beach. Visitors who take basic precautions like using a hotel safe and being mindful of their belongings are generally just fine. What surprises a lot of people is how affordable Curaçao can be. While there are plenty of upscale beach resorts, there are also very solid mid-range and budget options. One example is the Majestic City Suites and Beach Hotel, where rooms start at around $107 per night with an 8.6 review average and multiple on-site restaurants. Curaçao offers colorful architecture, excellent beaches, great snorkeling, and a very relaxed walkable feel in tourist areas, all on an island that consistently ranks among the safest and most stable in the Caribbean. Next up is St. Kitts and Nevis, which might actually be my favorite small island in the Caribbean, especially if safety and relaxation are high priorities. St. Kitts has a level 1 US State Department rating, a very small population, and surprisingly few hotels overall. And one thing you notice right away when you visit is that it feels empty in a good way. There's no big city here, no sprawling tourist zones, and very little random foot traffic. When it comes to safety on islands like this, a big part of it is how you plan your stay. Booking a good, well-reviewed hotel and spending your evenings on-site or in nearby tourist areas goes a long way. St. Kitts is exactly the kind of place where that approach works very well. One standout option is the Royal St. Kitts Hotel, where high season rates are around $187 per night with a 9.0 review average. It's a well-run property with pools, restaurants, and easy access to the popular Frigate Bay area, so you don't need to wander far to enjoy your evenings. St. Kitts is calm, upscale feeling, and very low-key. If your idea of a great Caribbean trip is relaxing somewhere that feels uncrowded and well-controlled, this is one of the safest and most comfortable choices you can make. Next is Antigua and Barbuda, another level 1 destination that's very tourism focused and generally easy for visitors. Antigua is often thought of as a fairly expensive island, and honestly that reputation is deserved. Many of the boutique hotels and higher-end resorts here can get very pricey, especially in high season. But Antigua is also a good example of how one well-priced all-inclusive resort can completely change the value equation. Even on islands that are already considered safe, all-inclusive resorts are usually among the safest ways to travel, especially the larger ones. They're designed so you can land at the airport, take a hotel shuttle, stay at the property for your entire trip, and return home without ever needing to venture far off-site. These resorts also have multiple layers of security, not just to keep guests safe, but to keep non-guests out. That extra security exists to prevent freeloaders from sneaking in for food and drinks, but it also works very much in guests' favor. In Antigua, the standout value option is the Jolly Beach Antigua Resort. High season all-inclusive rates come in at around $273 per night, which is unusually reasonable for this island. It's a larger property with about 400 rooms and solid reviews, and it offers a safe, contained resort experience without Antigua's usual luxury-level pricing. So while Antigua isn't a cheap island overall, this is a case where choosing the right resort makes it both safe and surprisingly affordable. Next up is St. Maarten, which has a Level 1 US State Department rating and a long history as a major Caribbean tourism hub. St. Maarten is generally very safe for visitors, especially in the main tourist areas. Like anywhere, basic awareness goes a long way. One simple tip here is to avoid late-night beach clubs and party areas, especially around places like Maho Beach, which is good advice on almost any island. Outside of those nightlife zones, St. Maarten is very well developed, easy to get around, and very comfortable for tourists. Most visitors stick to beaches, restaurants, and hotel areas, and that's where the experience is at its safest and most enjoyable. While St. Maarten isn't usually considered a budget island, I actually found a surprisingly affordable boutique hotel here while researching my recent Boutique Caribbean Resorts video, and I'll link that video below. One good example is the L'Espérance Hotel, a small boutique-style property set in the hills with a pool and quick access to nearby beaches. High season rates are around $152 per night with an 8.4 review average. St. Maarten is a great example of how choosing the right neighborhood and the right hotel can make a destination feel both safe and reasonably priced, even on an island that's known for its nightlife. The last two islands on this list are a little different because they're both all-inclusive bargains, and that's important for travelers who want the simplest and most controlled vacation experience possible. St. Lucia is widely considered one of the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean, and it consistently ranks near the top of safety lists for visitors. It also has a Level 1 US State Department rating and a tourism industry that is very polished and well established. What surprises a lot of people is that St. Lucia actually has around 24 all-inclusive resorts. While some of the famous ones, especially the Sandals properties, can get very expensive, many of the others are smaller, calmer, and much more reasonably priced. One strong value option is the Coco Palm Beach Resort, where all-inclusive rates start around $357 per night. It's a smaller resort with fewer than 90 rooms, an excellent 8.6 review average, and a much more relaxed feel than the mega resorts you see in Mexico or the Dominican Republic. From a safety perspective, this kind of setup is ideal. You arrive, take the hotel transfer, settle into the resort, and enjoy the island without needing to navigate unfamiliar areas. For travelers who want beauty, calm, and simplicity without giving up comfort, St. Lucia is an excellent and very safe choice. The last stop on this list is Punta Cana, and this one deserves a bit of context. The Dominican Republic has a Level 2 US State Department advisory, which means travelers are advised to exercise increased caution. But in Punta Cana specifically, the experience for resort guests is very different from what that headline might suggest. Punta Cana is almost entirely built around massive, purpose-designed resort complexes. These areas are heavily patrolled by the Dominican Republic's dedicated tourist police, and security presence is very visible both outside and inside the resorts. Inside the resorts themselves, security is taken extremely seriously. These properties are designed to be fully self-contained environments with controlled access points, wristbands, on-site transportation, and staff whose job is just as much about keeping non-guests out as it is about keeping guests comfortable. In practical terms, this means that for most guests, the only time you ever leave the security perimeter is on the hotel shuttle to and from the airport. Everything else, dining, beaches, pools, entertainment, and activities, happens entirely within the resort complex. One good example is the Bavaro Beach, adults only, where all-inclusive rates are around $276 per night with an 8.6 review average. It's part of a massive, well-secured complex with multiple resorts, restaurants, pools, and wide beaches, all contained within a single controlled area. So while the Dominican Republic as a whole isn't Level 1, Punta Cana itself is one of the most controlled and closely monitored tourist environments in the Caribbean. For travelers who want maximum convenience, predictable comfort, and the highest possible level of resort-based security, this is one of the safest ways to do a Caribbean vacation. The big takeaway here is that staying safe in the Caribbean has a lot more to do with where you stay and how you travel than with the island itself. Choosing well-reviewed hotels, sticking to tourist areas, and using resort transportation goes a long way, even in places that don't get a Level 1 rating overall. I've also put together a full article version of this video on priceoftravel.com with the same islands, hotel examples, current prices, and links so you can explore everything at your own pace. I'll link that below. And if the all-inclusive model sounds appealing to you, I also have a recent video breaking down where all-inclusive resorts are still a good deal in the Caribbean. Those large, well-run resorts are not only great for budgeting, but they're also among the safest ways to travel on almost any island. If you found this video helpful, please give the video a like. It really helps the channel. And consider subscribing for more Caribbean and budget travel guides like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.